He picked her out of the crowd, and in that moment, the entire room fell silent. No one expected it. No one understood why. But when the reason became clear, every single person was left speechless. The event was a high-profile fundraiser, the kind where tickets cost more than most people's rent. Crystal chandeliers reflected the golden glow of wealth. Murmurs of powerful conversations filled the air, and the scent of expensive cologne and ambition lingered. It was the kind of night where people came to be seen, to shake hands, to make deals that never made the news. But that night, something different was about to happen. Barack Obama, charismatic as ever, had been working the room effortlessly, shaking hands, exchanging warm smiles, offering words of encouragement that somehow felt personal, even in a sea of faces. And then, as he was about to step onto the stage, he paused. His eyes scanned the crowd, searching for something, someone. And then he saw her, a woman seated near the back, barely noticeable among the elite. She wasn't draped in diamonds or designer labels. She wasn't leaning in to whisper strategic words into the ear of a CEO. She was just there, quiet, observing. Without hesitation, Obama made his way toward her. The chatter in the room dimmed as people noticed. Who was she? Why her? What was happening? The energy shifted, curiosity crackled in the air. When he reached her, he extended his hand and with that signature warmth simply said, "It's been a long time." The woman looked up, her eyes widening in recognition. And then it happened. Her lips trembled into a smile, and just like that, the weight of years unfolded in a single moment. You see, this wasn't just any woman. She was his former teacher, the one who had once told a young, uncertain Barack Obama that he was meant for something bigger, the one who had pushed him to think beyond the walls of his classroom, beyond the limits of his circumstances, the one who had seen something in him before the rest of the world did. And now, decades later, the student had become the leader of the free world, but he hadn't forgotten. The room, once filled with whispers of politics and power, was now silent. No one dared interrupt. They watched as he leaned in, speaking softly, privately, in a moment that felt like it didn't belong to history, but to humanity itself. When they finally parted, Obama turned to the audience and, with a small but knowing smile, simply said, "We all have someone to thank for who we become." The applause that followed wasn't just for him, it was for her. It was for the teachers, the mentors, the people who shape us in ways they may never fully realize. And as the evening continued, the conversations in the room had changed. Because sometimes the most powerful lesson isn't about success or influence, it's about remembering where you came from and the people who helped you get there. Obama later recalled this moment in an interview. He spoke about how certain people leave an imprint on our lives, how small acts of encouragement can alter the course of someone's destiny. "You don't become who you are alone," he said. "We all stand on the shoulders of those who guided us. And isn't that the truth? Think about it. The moments that shape us, the people who lift us up, the words that stay with us long after they've been spoken. Sometimes we don't even realize the impact until years later. But for Obama, that moment had always been clear. He had been a young man, full of questions and doubts, trying to find his place in the world. And his teacher, this remarkable woman, had given him something priceless: belief. And now, standing before her all these years later, he had the chance to say thank you. The story doesn't end there. After the event, people approached her, eager to hear her perspective. How did she feel seeing her former student rise to such heights? She simply smiled and said, "I always knew." That's the power of a teacher. That's the power of belief. Imagine if we all took a moment to recognize those who shaped us. How different would the world be? So ask yourself, who has been that person in your life? Maybe it was a teacher, a mentor, a friend, a family member, someone who saw potential in you before you saw it in yourself. When was the last time you told them? Because at the end of the day, success isn't just about where you end up. It's about the journey and the people who walk beside you along the way. If this story moved you, take a moment. Reach out to someone who made a difference in your life. Let them know, because sometimes the greatest gift you can give is gratitude. But let's take a moment to reflect further. How often do we truly acknowledge those who shaped us? How many unsung heroes remain in the shadows of our success stories? This isn't just about one teacher. It's about every mentor, every guide, every person who took a chance on someone when they didn't have to. Maybe you're that person for someone right now. Maybe without even realizing it, you've changed the course of someone's life. A small gesture, a kind word, an act of encouragement. It all matters more than we think. So here's a challenge. Think of that person, reach out, let them know what they mean to you, and if you can, pay it forward. Because in the end, success isn't measured by how high we climb, but by how many people we bring along with us. And if this story made you think, hit that subscribe button. Who knows, maybe next time, you'll be the reason someone believes in themselves just a little bit more.